Florida homeowners, it's not a question of if, but when the next hurricane will come. No matter what Florida weather has in store, Storm Smart has products that protect every opening of your home while improving the look, feel, and function. From durable aluminum shutters, high-impact windows and doors, to our innovative storm catcher screens, products that enhance the beauty of your home and keep your family safe. Because smart is complete hurricane protection, and smart is peace of mind. Call Storm Smart today for your free in-home consultation.
When your power goes out, remember just how inconvenient your life can be. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have power when you need it. Our Generac generators automatically provide backup power after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Get a free 10-year warranty with the purchase of any air-cooled generator. Call Generac Generators today. Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
Streaming from the ABC Action Weather Center in Studio A, this is Dennis Phillips Live. Brought to you by Storm Smart. Protect every opening of your home. And by Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
How you doing, everybody? It is a Thursday night edition of Dennis Phillips Live. Welcome to our little group. You know, when we get a hurricane, a tropical storm, severe weather, the numbers are obviously off the chart. A lot of folks during hurricane season, when things are actually getting active, you know, there's a matter of just refreshing social media over and over again. But, you know, we've been this group together, honestly, for, gosh, I mean, almost 20 years. And we say, what group are you talking about? Well, if you're watching on the spot, Tampa Bay 66, this is an entirely new thing. You know, broadcast TV is a very different thing than streaming and where we started, which was pretty much just on social media. And over the years, we've just kind of got together, and it's really turned into a family thing. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but it's the reality of it. I mean, a lot of these, like pretty much every person that I see on this list, when people that they pop up on our Facebook feed, you kind of know them, and it's a family, and there's all these conversations that are going on amongst themselves. So what I suggest doing is, a lot of folks are watching on TV, so you see the graphics a little bit bigger, maybe better resolution, and then follow along on the comment section on my Facebook page. So Bridget, how goes it? Marion Lellman, nice to see you. By the way, it is Lellman, not Leelman. That one took me a while to learn. And of course, if you're new to the area, a lot of people say, oh, that's Lutz, that's not Lutz. No, it's Lutz. And of course, as Floridians go, and Wendy Ryan knows this, you know, it isn't Kissimmee, it's Kissimmee. But how many of y'all, when you first moved down here, well, you know, nowadays maybe you know it more because of Disney, but Kissimmee. But again, if you are watching at home, welcome. I will be honest. So I had not watched a broadcast on TV. I've just kind of looked at it on here. Last night, I recorded it because we are on cable on channel 17 on Spectrum, and I believe 17 on Frontier as well. Not sure about DirecTV and the whole streaming thing, and we were talking about this yesterday with the folks from the Lightning, because a lot of people want to know, how can I watch my Tampa Bay Lightning games? I mean, that's a big thing. Our new relationship with the Bolts is just a huge thing. We are now the official home of the Tampa Bay Lightning. But what if you don't have cable? And what if you can't get the Spot 66 on your antenna because you live out of the viewing area? Well, what's going to happen is the Lightning, their app will have a streaming function that you're going to be able to watch the game via streaming on the Lightning app. Now, I don't know if there's a charge on that. That I'm not sure of. We're going to get more on that coming up in the weeks to come. But that's going to be a huge thing, and that's starting soon. I mean, look, we're in the middle of July, but before you know it, we're going to have training camp for the Bucks. We're going to be talking about college football, which is my thing, and of course the NFL. So again, how y'all doing? Debbie, good to see you. Ormond Beach is in the house. Hagen, nice to see you. Nancy, Abby, as always. Rick and Monica from Venice. Jody, I can see you today. For whatever reason, you are not hidden. So that's a good thing. We're seeing you loud and clear. Teresa in Brandon. So Jackie likes the sweatshirt. Now, I will tell you, the blue sweatshirt, the OG hoodie that I have, I like it a little more because when I spill food on myself, I don't have to wash the blue one. This one right out, because I hang around the studio afterwards and I'll go in and eat some dinner or whatever. And if I spill something, it's white and then you see it. So I ordered 2 more hoodies, and one of which is blue. So I'll be able to get away without having to wash it every day. But it is cool, and it's got the lightning colors. We also have one with the Bucks colors. We also have one with the Rays colors, the Gators, the Knowles, the Canes, the Bulls, the Knights. We have all of those, and proceeds, as always, benefit local charities, the Children's Miracle Network, Feeding Tampa Bay. Haven't been posting the link a lot because we've had to go to a new distributor because our last distributor just turned into a debacle. So we're having to rebuild all the stuff, but it's going to be on shortly, and hopefully a new logo for the new year as well. But all our stuff is still on Etsy. If you go on Etsy.com and search Rule Number 7, or as my daughter Ryan says, search up. You got to search up Rule Number 7 shop, and all our Rule 7 stuff with all the local schools and everything, the colors are on there. Again, proceeds benefit all those local charities. So anyway, how you guys doing? Debbie in Sarasota, go Knowles to you. And Lisa's saying her antenna is 28.1. Yes, it's 28.1 for ABC Action News, but for the spot, for this show, it's 66.1, all right? So just so you know that. So here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to come back and we're going to give an overview over the forecast because we got a lot of changes in our weather coming up over the next several days. Then we're going to have another break. Then we're going to come back and talk tropics, because there's some interesting occurrences going on right now, part of it with the Saharan dust, part of it the long-range forecast. As always, we'll be answering your questions. And then in the last round, the last segment, we will have what we call our heat lightning round. Now, I'm still waiting for our promotions, our art department to come up with a graphic with a like a lightning, and then the voice of God, heat lightning round. Because after all, we know this is religious programming. So if you don't know, if you know, you know. If you don't know, here's what it was. When you went on the cable guide, when this show first started, for whatever reason, it called this show religious and inspirational programming. I don't know. I got no idea how it happened. But ever since then, we kind of liken ourselves to somewhat of religious programming. So we have Bloomingdale's in the house with Kaylin. So again, yep, tonight is treat night. See, this is another thing that y'all might not know. So if you're watching on TV, the folks have been here for a long time. Thursday night, and this has been how this happened, I have no idea. I've been working here for 31 years. And my claim to fame, as I often say, my first day of work here was the day one of our 6 o'clock producers was born 31 years ago. It's a true story. Does that not make you feel old? Because it certainly does me. But ever since day one, back in the days with Marty Tucker and Brendan McLaughlin and Wayne Shattuck, who was our chief met, and Drew Soischer, who was our sports guy. That's the old school. That is the OG. I was the morning guy with Trina Robinson and Frank Fraboni. Frank was the male anchor. Trina was the female anchor. I was the weather guy. And so we had this thing called Treat Night, and it started back in the day on Thursday nights where everybody would bring, when it was their turn, to bring in a certain dessert, a certain treat. Every now and again, you got some people who don't know what they're doing, and they'll bring in veggie dips or something. That is a no-go. But tonight is our treat night, and Wendy Ryan is the treat night czar. She is the one who looks out over everyone, and she runs it with an iron fist. If you don't bring your stuff in and it's not ready, Wendy comes down on you, because you got to have that. You got to have somebody who's going to crack the whip a little bit, or it's just not going to work, right? It'll fall apart. 31 years this has been going on. Amy, how are you doing? Good to see you. Seminoles in the house with Tiffany, New Tampa, Alicia. We've got Newport Richie with Pat. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and give you all the local weather that you need, and it is going to be a hot one this weekend. Maybe the hottest weekend so far this year, but at least you're going to get a chance to get outside without a lot of rain because we're going to be drying off. That'll come back as DPL continues. So I was watching, we're on break now. I was watching the show on TV, like I was saying when I got home last night. It's shockingly clean. In other words, there's not a lot of blunders. I just figured my audio would be, because, and I actually will talk about this when I get back. You guys know this if you've been watching, or if you haven't, if you're new watching on the stream. Everything that you're seeing on TV right now, or on Facebook, or on social, I do right here on this computer. So here's the upside of that. It's all right here. You don't need anybody else to do it. I take the shots myself. I set up the feed. I set up the streams. I send it out to social. All the stuff, right? All they do is point a camera my way and turn the microphone on. That's the upside. But the downside is, are we on TV yet? No, almost. It's still just a PC doing all. That's how crazy the technology is these days, that we can have a show on broadcast television that's literally run by just a little old PC. Now, the downside of that is we take a power hit, we're going to black. And it's going to be a train wreck. So, and at some point, and you guys know watching on Facebook, it's going to happen. So that's maybe even worth sticking around for a while. All right, we are back in 3, 2. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Dennis Phillips Live. I was just talking to the folks on Facebook. And again, if you're watching on TV, it's way more interactive, even if you have a laptop or your phone open and you see the comments. And I try to really keep my eye on the comments. I've been a little remiss in that. This is such an interactive show where you guys kind of run the show for me. You take it in the direction that you want to go. But when I'm pushing all these buttons, it's a little more challenging to look at all the comments. But what I was just telling, if you're watching on TV, this is how crazy, and I think I noticed this in COVID, because do you remember how many people were broadcasting from their houses, right? I did weather from my house for about 3 months, and I couldn't take it anymore. I had to come back to work because with a combination of the dogs barking every time the Amazon guy drops by and knocks on the door, and the dog starts screaming. I've got 6 kids. So kids are running around, and everybody's walking on eggshells because they have to be quiet or try to be quiet while I'm standing in front of my TV in my living room doing the weather. It's crazy times. But the fact that we were able to do live television remotely using an iPad. Literally, we had iPads in all of our houses, and that iPad was streaming back and it was on television. I mean, think about back in the day, you had those big cameras, everybody's walking around with the big audio decks and the big cameras for all the shots. And then all of a sudden, you're having an iPad and it's on broadcast TV. Well, this show that you're watching right now, it's about the same thing. I've got one little PC, just a little PC, right? If I kick the button next, if we go to black and everything goes away, it's because I kicked the button accidentally. It's probably going to happen. Or if we get a power hit, any kind of lightning, or it's going to happen. But what's crazy is I was watching, I actually DVR'd the show last night because I'm wondering how it looks. I just wasn't really sure. And it looked really clean and professional, which shocked me because I am the one pushing the buttons. And I figured I'd be cutting my mic or I'd be taking the wrong shots, but it looks good. And it's all right here on this PC. So it's just crazy how the technology has changed throughout the years and how broadcast TV has really changed. And, obviously we all know streaming is such a big thing as well now. So we've got, wait a minute, do we have somebody? Good evening. Oh, how you doing? Brooksville's in the house, Yvette. Good to see you. So here's the latest drought numbers. And I think this is fascinating because, guys, we had such a dry winter and a dry spring. And then the last 4 or 5 weeks, everything's opened up. And many of us, not all, many of us have more than overcome our drought numbers. But if you look here, we still are abnormally dry in some areas. And if you look in western Pasco and Hernando and Citrus, still in a moderate drought. I mean, that's Florida for you. I mean, we all know it could be pouring in your house right now and sunny across the street. So when you've got such a big viewing area like our area from Citrus, Hernando, Pasco, Pinellas, Manatee, Sarasota, and then east to Highlands County, you're going to have some areas that are going to get more rain than others. It's just the nature of Florida. I mean, there's that meme out there where the camera's facing forward and it's sunny and blue sky, and on the side view mirror, it's pitch black and big storms. I mean, try forecasting that nonsense. It's ridiculous. But that, in a nutshell, is why we still have drought conditions over part of the area. Not everybody gets the same amount of rain. So here's a live look at the radar. And you can see there have been some pretty decent storms that were down in Glades County. That's one county down from Highlands, and there was a severe thunderstorm warning. But otherwise, it's pretty quiet across most of the area. Yeah, a few isolated showers. Matter of fact, I'm going to take this full and let's zoom into the one that looks like it's popping up over the bay. So Reed and Brandon, how you doing? Lisa and Carolwood. So it does look like if we take this right here, yeah, there's one little shower, one little storm that's just popping up, about to move into South Tampa from Apollo Beach. And by the way, you often hear us talking about a bolt from the blue. Look at that lightning strike there where it isn't raining. It's just so important to remember the majority of people who are struck by lightning, it is not raining where they are because they figure I still have time. I might hear the thunder, but I'm still okay because it isn't raining. And right there, two strikes actually, right there, you can see very clearly how lightning can occur and often does occur where it isn't raining. If you hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. And you can see this one is headed for South Tampa, headed toward MacDill. It'll be there any minute with some heavy rain and some lightning, not a ton of lightning, but some lightning. And there's another cell right over Carolwood right now. It's the second wave. There was some pretty decent rains a couple hours ago from Carolwood up to Lutz. And this has just popped in the last probably 15 minutes. Let's look back 45 minutes and see. Boom. Yeah, these boundaries go up and they start to redevelop. So that's what we're looking at right this second. All right. Overall rainfall totals today have been pretty quiet. Zoop. Zoom right back in again. Zoom over to offshore. Move back to Highlands. And we've got current temperatures. Outside right now, temps in the mid to upper 80s. I'll tell you, the heat indices are going to be high this weekend. Now, typically, you get a heat index advisory or a heat advisory when the heat indices, the feels like temps, are 108 to 112. We're going to be flirting with that. I don't think we're quite there, but we're going to be flirting with that. If you haven't had a chance to get some stuff done outdoors of late because of all the rain, this weekend is your weekend. It's going to be hot. It'll be mostly dry. Rain chances will be very, very low. Although right now at the airport, there's thunder in the distance at 85 degrees. The feels like 93. Today we were 2 degrees above average. We hit 93. The average is 91 this morning. We dropped down only to 80 degrees. So if you look at the satellite picture, let me take this full. You don't need to see me. Take a closer look at what's going on with Futurecast. Wilda's getting new windows put in tomorrow. Please tell you it's not going to rain those 2 days in Brooksville. Wilda, I think your chances are extremely good you will not see rain. But it is Florida, and it is the rainy season, so I'm not going to sit here and guarantee it. But the odds are probably 80-20 in your favor. Tonight, a few inland showers, and then lingering till about maybe 10, 10:30, 11, and then it's over. Tomorrow morning, sunny, warm. We start around 80 degrees. Look at the lack of rain right through the day. But again, look at that. I mean, there'll be 2 or 3 areas of rain. Might it be over your house? Sure, there's a chance. The odds are in your favor, though, certainly in your favor. And through the afternoon and evening, just a few scattered storms, not many. I will tell you, Saturday and Sunday are looking even better, though, with drier weather. And that's with the afternoon high of about 95 degrees. Look at the lack of rain on Saturday. I mean, practically rain-free. Nobody in their right mind would say, oh, it's not going to rain at all in July. I mean, come on. I don't care how strong a ridge is in July. It's still Florida. We're still surrounded by water. There will be a few isolated showers. They will be pop-up. There won't be many, but there's going to be a few. Mary's like, I'm wanting to put in my Christmas village. I hear you. You know what? So I've been noticing this. You guys know me. I'm a fanatic when it comes to Christmas decorations, but my family is every bit as much fanatical about Halloween. And we're seeing all these Halloween decorations everywhere. They're coming up in Hobby Lobby. They're coming up in all these places. We're seeing ads for the Haunted Mansion at Disney. So we're almost there. But when you see a forecast like this with highs in the mid-90s, you're like, Dennis, really? Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the tropics are still very quiet, and there is that dry Saharan dust that we've been talking about. So we're going to talk in depth about Saharan dust. We're going to talk about the season and how we are extremely quiet the first 2 weeks in August. But does that mean the rest of the season is quiet? The answer is a resounding no. And we'll talk more about that as DPL continues. Okay, so we are back in a commercial break. And yes, we are going to talk Saharan dust coming up in just a second. And then we will have our heat lightning round. Linda's watching Hallmark movies to cool off. You know what? That must be, I mean, I know so many people who watch all year round, and I am a Christmas, you know this about me. I am Clark Griswold. But I've never been able to get into the Hallmark movies. I don't know why. Does that make me a bad person? Maybe. I don't know. Is it more of a chick thing? You know, the Hallmark movies? Maybe. Kind of, sort of. I don't know. But I've never been into them. But you want Heat Miser, Snow Miser, Frosty, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, all those. I'm a sucker for all that stuff. But the Hallmark movies, not so much. All right, we have 30 more seconds in the break. And David's asking if there are any more waves coming off the coast of Africa. David, we will discuss that next, as a matter of fact. That is the next graphic that we'll be showing. So there you go. All right, where are we at? 10 seconds. Boy, this time flies on this show with all these breaks. It just does. Chaz, it's we're back on DPL, and we were talking about Hallmark movies during the break. You're missing some conversation if you're just watching on TV. Watch both. Watch on TV, and I said, I'm not a big Hallmark movie fan. I love the old school Christmas movies. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's a Wonderful Life. My favorite ever. All of them. But I've never been a Hallmark guy. And I said, is that a bad thing? And yeah, one of the responses was, yeah, that's a terrible thing. It's a really, really bad thing, Dennis, because they're the best movies ever. So I don't know. All right, so we got some stuff to talk about. Let's jump in. I'm going to go ahead and take these full screen because we're going to do some quick little tropical stuff. Do I have another commercial break I have to do? I can't even remember. Somebody remind me how many commercial breaks I've done because I completely have forgotten. I don't know if I have another one or not. I think I might, maybe. Anyway, there's a look at the drier air, all right? We are not going to have tropical development if we have all that dry Saharan dust. We're just not. And if you take a look at that yellow X that's still out there, it is not going to develop. It will not. But it's still a big rainmaker for Louisiana. But I want you to look. Oh, there was a mark there. Hold on. Let me go and do this manually. So if you go and look at what's going on offshore, waves come off of Africa, but then they run in. Okay, Hagen said I have one more break. Thank you. See, you guys are my producers, too. Without you, I would be completely befuddled. I would be totally lost. But hold on. Let's call Scott in engineering. Actually, he might not even be there. All right, hold on. We're going off the rails here. Let me see if I have one more break or not. Hey, do I have one more break or I do? Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Bye. Hagen, you were right. I have one more break. Okay. I would never question you guys. Anyway, there's the tropics, right? And you see that waves come off of Africa, right? They come off of Africa, but they're running into all this dry air. So development is just not going on. And I want to show you something else here. So let's go ahead and take this graphic full, and then I got to take a break, apparently. So look at what typically happens in terms of development. All right, I'm going to call up this graphic here. It's in here somewhere, right here. All right, so when we look at potential development in the month of July, it's still very quiet, right? There's not a lot that goes on because historically the waters are very cool in the Atlantic and we have Saharan dust. But once we hit August, the Saharan dust goes away, the waters warm up, and then all of a sudden you go into September and that's when things really get going. But look at where the major tracks are. The majority of the time, those major tracks are east of the U.S. But what's out there this year to make it look different come September and October? We'll have our heat lightning round, and we'll have that for you coming up in 90 seconds. Okay. Break. So, Deb, how you doing? So, yeah, so we have 3 breaks, right? Okay, I guess we do. It's hard to keep track of it. See, if this were a traditional newscast or a show, I would have a producer in my ear yelling at me because I've already gone long and I'm missing a break. And this is going to turn into like our 6 o'clock show when weather goes long. And Caitlin only has 20 seconds for her last segment because I went long. We're going to come back. Well, there'll still be about 4.5 minutes for the last segment. And that's okay because we'll be able to talk tropics. So that was the message I wanted to get across. Let's see what else we have here. Somebody just said something. Yes, I am cutting it close. Now, Kim says I'm cutting out. Are you guys noticing that? Okay, we have 30 seconds left from the break. Are you noticing that I'm cutting out? Or sometimes it's just people's audio and social. Sometimes it's internet. Kathleen's like, I told you. Sound is cutting out now. Well, my mic is okay. I don't know why. What do you think? Is it still cutting out? Well, we'll find out. If it is, we'll have to mess with that later. All right, we are back in 5, 4, 3. Okay, I don't have the special graphics, so I'll do it myself. Boom, heat lightning round. All right, we got heat lightning round here. Your questions, and people are asking, will the Saharan dust stick around for the rest of July? It will, to quote Marissa Tomei and my cousin Vinny. Yeah, and I'll tell you, the first couple weeks in August, would not be surprised if we see the same thing. Check this out. So if you look at the Climate Prediction Center's forecast, right, for the next 2 weeks, check it out. The week of July 23rd to July 29th, no development expected. The week of July 30th to August 5th, no development expected. There's absolutely nothing unusual about having the tropics remain very quiet through the 3rd or 4th week in August. It's not unusual at all, to quote Tom Jones. If you know, you know. Or was that Engelbert Humperdinck? No, that was Tom Jones. All right, so here's a look at the Euro AI. If you're under 50, you're like, who the heck is he talking about? All right, here's Friday. Remember, the Euro AI was exceptional last year in its long-range hurricane predictions. That wave that I showed you off Africa, if you look down in the Caribbean, see that little circle that just shows up right there? Let me show you which one. This one, that is that wave. But you notice it doesn't do much. Why is that? Because of the drier air that it's running into. And it ends up going poof, gone. So the Euro AI for the next 2 weeks keeps us absolutely tropical system free. So right there, even though once we hit September and October, I suspect, and you know me, I'm not huge in long-range predictions, but we're getting indications that we'll be trending back toward a La Nina, fall into winter, and when we have that kind of a pattern, the Western Caribbean and the Gulf fire up. So, with cooler waters in the Eastern Atlantic, things should remain very quiet, very calm through the end of the month and into the first week or 2 in August. After that, we would expect to see the tropical Atlantic pick up a little bit more, but a lot of folks have asked me, do I think we are going to be looking at issues in the Gulf or the Western Caribbean later in September and October? And the answer is yes, I do. That is not based on anything other than a climatological look, but with the warm waters and the warm Gulf and La Nina, I suspect we are going to have another active September and October. That does not mean for our area. But it does mean if the Western Caribbean gets going, historically, a track up toward the Panhandle or maybe even toward Louisiana could certainly happen as well. So that's the way I see it. All right, so we're going to be back tomorrow night with another episode of DPL on streaming and on television. We'll talk a little bit more about long-range forecasting as well and the heat wave that we got coming up this weekend. Folks, thanks for watching DPL. We will see you tomorrow. Okay, so DPL is done on broadcast and streaming, but we are still here on TV. I mean, on Facebook. So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I'm not a fan of long-range forecasting, But when I see the ingredients out there, and they're mostly based on analogs, and we've talked about this a lot, and I do, I don't put a ton of weight into analogs. If you guys aren't familiar with what analogs are, it takes a previous year, it looks at the upper level features, it says this is what it was like this year, this is what we're seeing now, the two are comparable, this is where storms formed, this is how storms formed, this is where they went. Now, it's not going to work on a week-to-week forecast, but if we know, or if we suspect that there are going to be a greater number of developing hurricanes in the Western Caribbean in September into October, then 9 times out of 10, and I'll show it to you right here, 9 times out of 10, look at that track. That's October, but look at the way the track goes from the Western Caribbean and it goes into Florida. It's just, and why is that? If you've been on the show for a long enough time, you know storms, low pressure in general is drawn toward the poles, the North and the South Pole, right? They're not going to cross the equator. So ones north of the equator are drawn toward the North Pole. Ones south of the equator are drawn toward the South Pole. But when a Western Caribbean system develops, it will be drawn, if all things were equal, and we know they're not always, if all things were equal, they're going to be drawn north toward the Panhandle, which is why the Panhandle gets a heck of a lot more hurricanes than we do in West Central Florida. It's a fact. The numbers are the numbers. So what causes a storm to take a track like this in October, the one you're looking at here? A front, a trough. If nothing else is out there, it'll just continue to go toward the pole. But if a trough is digging down, I'll show you. If a trough is digging down or a front comes in, then all of a sudden you've got a track that is going to go up and it's going to curve. It's going to curve as it approaches that front. And that curve would bring it closer to Florida because the fronts will stall out usually along the Florida-Georgia border September into October. Rarely does a front come all the way through. Sometimes it does. Most of the time it doesn't. So that is why we often see these storms. Look at Sean, a cold front. Sean is our 540 man. Sean is the man who loves the freezing line. And most folks here right now are probably DPLers. And we will talk about this tomorrow night. Matter of fact, I might even call Ryan tomorrow. Oh no, she's going to be at the Blue Jays game. So they're in a World Series softball tournament in Clearwater. And tomorrow night, the Dunedin Blue Jays are having the ceremonies at the park. But anyway, next Thursday is the meet and greet night. Try to get on out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, it might have said 5:30 on social media. It is not. It is 6:30, okay? 6:30 next Thursday night, the Clearwater Threshers are taking on the Bradenton Marauders. It's the Pirates farm team. I'm going to be throwing out the first pitch. I'm going to be live doing the weather there from 5:30, 6:20. And then Ryan's going to sing the national anthem. And then we're doing a big meet and greet in an area. There's no extra ticket or anything. Once you get in, you're in. You get a ticket to come in, and then you just find us because we're going to be wandering around aimlessly, probably on the third base side. So seriously, if you've never been to the Threshers Park, it's a blast. It's a great family park. There's playground areas. The food's awesome. They have Delco cheesesteaks. I mean, it's just a really, really great time. So we're going to be there next Thursday night, and hopefully you'll be there. One last thing, and I'll talk about this tomorrow. I just noticed Creative Loafing came out with their Best of the Bay voting as of today, and it's for the next month, I guess. And I love the issue because you can vote on anything and everything in the entire Bay Area. They've got some crazy topics. They've got anything you could possibly vote on. One of them is Best Newscaster in the Bay Area. Sean Daly, I think I noticed, was nominated. I'm on there. There's lots of people on there. So you can vote for your favorite person to follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, TikTok, Best Newscaster. You can go on Best of the Bay, Google search Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, and you'll see it, and you can vote. And you should do it because it's really a lot of fun. And it's a great list. The list comes out, I think, in September. So let's see. Let me look. Now, Jim Cantore is not retiring. That is an urban myth, Jorge. I heard some people talking about it. But, Bridget, I don't know why you're laughing. I missed it. Why are you laughing? I do not know. Let me see. What else am I looking at here? I'm looking at some more comments. Ren, how are you? So Ren is one of the folks who came by. Ren, I have much admiration for Ren because Ren was with her friend in a car coming to my house for the Christmas decorations, and they got rear-ended in a traffic accident coming into our neighborhood. So she dropped by, came by after it was all over because they had to stay and wait for, I guess, the police or whatever. So I still feel really, really bad about that, Ren. But we are working on getting even better traffic control this upcoming year because we're probably going to even have more people. The best of the Bay. Yeah, now, why is that funny, Bridget? I don't know. Am I missing something? I probably am. Sean, your daughter's friend is down here from Maine. She should have brought us a lobster roll. I've never had a good lobster roll. I've never been to Maine. I got to get up to Maine. Jay, our director, you guys know that Jay, has said, Dennis, and he's from Boston. You know this. Jay used to be on the show from time to time. Dennis, you got to go get a lobster roll. You got to go to Bahaba and get a lobster roll. So I'm going to do that. Oh, that's interesting, Denise. Well, again, I have heard that the cable companies are not obligated necessarily to run a particular show yet. They have not reached an agreement. So maybe that's and that's what I was telling you about. You want to make sure you see the Lightning games. You want to make sure you watch DPL. The best way to do it, you have an antenna. You buy it at Walmart for $20. This is how easy it is. You go on Amazon or whatever, on Walmart, $20, you get an antenna, right? It's a little circular thing. It isn't the big antenna you have to put on the roof, okay? You get this antenna. You plug it into your TV. You change your input on your TV to antenna. And there'll be a button that says scan for channels. They all do it. And you scan, and that TV will scan every frequency of channels that are out there in the local area. Some are going to be stronger than others because you might be closer to that transmitter. But 66.1 is the channel that the DPL and that the Bolts are going to be on this year on OTA, over the air. So if it shows up on your TV, you'll always have it. You don't even have to worry about cable, and it's free. And that's the thing, that's the greatest thing about it, because last year and in years gone by, Bally Sports and FanDuel, you had to pay a monthly charge. It's free right there on our Spot Tampa Bay 66 channel. So again, I do know that I was told that some of the cable channels, they're showing the spot right now, but it's up in the air whether or not it's going to stay that way. So Denise is saying that, now that's interesting. Denise, are you saying that all the other programs were showing, but DPL wasn't? So are they holding us hostage on Frontier? That's an interesting one. I gotta hear about that. Oh, I remember, Bridget. Now I remember. Yes, I do. Yeah, what was up with that? Yeah, I will tell you, actually, because, it's just us now. So I won Best of the Bay, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was, the first year that I won. And Bridget, I saw a comment. She commented on one of the posts that said something like, I don't believe you won. Mark Wilson should have won. And Mark Wilson, works at Fox. Great guy. I know his family. My mom is from Big Stone Gap, Virginia. The Wilson family is from Big Stone Gap, Virginia. It's a little bitty town in southwestern Virginia, coal mining town. And the Wilsons are from there. And my mom, who's passed away, as did John Wilson's mom, passed away, they were friends. So I went to John Wilson's house, his boyhood house, and John is Mark's father, right? And his mom brought me into their house and showed me it's a very talented family. I mean, Patrick Wilson is a movie star, right? I mean, John has been in this market forever. Mark is an anchor over at Fox, and you've got the other brothers are actors and talented as well. It's just an incredibly talented family. And anyway, so his mom invited me in and showed me this entire wing of their home that was all trophies and awards. And she's like, oh, look when Johnny played in Little League, and talking about John Wilson. Look when Johnny won this singing award. It was the cutest thing. But yeah, the Wilson family is incredibly talented. All right, so Paul was in the movie too. So there was a movie. It was oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Was it called Big Stone Gap? I can't remember. I think it might have been called Big Stone Gap. And Whoopi Goldberg was in it, and it's about, yeah, it was called Big Stone Gap. So it's kind of interesting because, so in that town, they are known for this drama. They call it the drama, not drama. It is a play called Trail of the Lonesome Pine. You're going to learn something right now. Maybe you didn't want to know it, but you're going to learn something. So they call it, those who live in the town and have lived there forever, they call it the drama. And it's an outdoor play that runs in the spring and the summer and in the early fall. And it's an outdoor drama known as Trail of the Lonesome Pine. Very, very popular. And anyway, so this movie, Big Stone Gap, it's about this little bitty town because the author of the book before it became a movie was from Big Stone Gap. And it's the home of the Wilson family. It's my mom's home. I've been there many, many a time. And it's this little bitty coal mining town. Anyway, I don't know. Oh, so Bridget, that's how the story started. Yeah, no ban button. You're right. I didn't need the ban button tonight. So, yes, you did say that. Yes, you did say that, Bridget. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You absolutely did. Let me see. Anybody else? I think that's about it. All right. So I think that's about it, guys. Radar's looking pretty good. Hot and dry, mostly dry over the weekend. Tomorrow night, we'll be back. We're going to start not having DPL on the spot pretty regularly on Friday nights because the WNBA games are going to be on. And of course, during hockey season, Friday night games will preempt, or any night games will preempt DPL. But we'll always be on Facebook and we'll always be on streaming when the Bolts games are not on. So it's a relationship. We are thrilled to be involved with the Bolts. It's a class organization that's a community-driven organization that's a successful organization. They have got it down to a science, and we are just thrilled to be their new home for broadcast. And I'm having an opportunity to meet with a lot of their marketing folks and whatnot. So there's going to be a lot of interaction, a lot of collabs going on. Matter of fact, there's a pretty good chance we're going to have some roll number 7 stuff for charity going on for over at Amalie. So yeah, I'm just excited beyond words that we're able to take part in this and offer the Bolts for you guys at home for free because I know what a huge fan base they have. Okay. All right. So anyway, guys, that's it. Have a great night. Thanks for stopping by. And we will be back tomorrow night with our next edition of Dennis Phillips Live. You guys have a great night.